Well, hello everybody. Welcome on into the kitchen. I'm really glad you're able to join me today. And I know we have to stay put in our respective spaces right now. So I figured one of the best ways for us to connect would be over a meal. So today I'm going to prepare a meal with you in addition to a little side and some dessert. And today we'll be starting with the dessert because it will take the longest. I have right here all of my recipes, and this was actually given to me on my wedding day. And it is a collection of all the recipes given from all the women in my life, which is such an awesome gift, and I adore this. So the first meal we're making today is from my aunt. It's her chicken piccata, and why I love a chicken piccata is because not only is it a classic dish that everyone honestly should keep in their kitchen, but also it's something I consider a weekday meal. So for me, that's something I can do in about 45 minutes or less and not feel like I'm being rushed at all. That will be prepared with a side of veggies, and then for dessert, I will be doing my version of Magnolia Bakery's banana cream pudding. It is so good. I adore it. It's something you can make in a large quantity or an individual size. We're gonna make the big quantity because everyone's obsessed over it. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's start with dessert first. My favorites. Grabbing out of our pantry, 1 box of instant vanilla pudding, Jello brand specifically, either vanilla or French vanilla, it doesn't really matter. And then 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. All you'll need is just 16 ounces. We need a mixing bowl, so prepare that for yourself. And then a measuring cup, something that'll give you 1.5 cups. And what we're measuring is 1.5 cups of cold water. You want it as cold as you can possibly get. And with baking, you have to be as accurate as you possibly can be. Although we're not putting anything in an oven, we want to be accurate with the dessert. So, pouring the water on in, and then getting straight to cracking open that sweetened condensed milk. And you'll pour that right on in. Make sure you get everything out. So if you need a spatula to assist you, grab one. That's just about enough. And then with your Jello, or your instant pudding mix that is, shake it out to the bottom a little bit so when you rip it open, it's all there. Nothing's left at the top too much. Some will puff out, that's normal. And baking's supposed to be a little messy. So, 3 main ingredients, time to mix them. Grab your mixer. A stand mixer or a hand mixer is the best. What you'll need is just to make sure that you combine all the ingredients very well, which will mean relatively 1 minute in time. Okay, now that that's combined, you have part 1 done. So, cover it, and then you'll put it in the fridge just to rest for 4 hours. So once those agonizing 4 hours have passed, you will take your mixture out and you'll see how much it has actually set, which is great. This is exactly the consistency that we want it to be. So let that just settle down for a moment right over here. Pre-measure 3 cups of heavy whipping cream and put it in a bowl to mix. So this is what we're going to whip into really stiff peaks to then fold into that pudding mixture we just froze. Or cooled, rather. Okay. So now we're going to fold this into that pudding mixture. So grab any spatula that you please. Take a Christmas one apparently. And just take part by part, pieces at a time, and just fold it in. Folding it is exactly how it sounds. You just take it and begin to envelop one end over the other, folding it in. So this is going to take the creaminess and the fluffiness and combine it. Now make sure you're not mixing too terribly much. It's okay if you have some streaks, but you don't want to lose all the air that you just created. So again, we'll take another little part, fold that in, and you can see how much volume and body we're building into this. And this is that delicious pudding recipe that has made Magnolia Bakery so famous, and now that's gonna make you so famous among all your friends now that you know how to do your own version of it. Okay. Yeah, that tastes awesome. Okay. So once that pudding mixture is all set, the fun part begins, and this is where you can invite the kids over. This is where you assemble everything. So for the assembly line, you will also need to bring over your Nilla wafers and about 3 to 4 bananas. And this is what we're going to create in our trifle. So grab whatever trifle bowl you have or whatever you're using as a trifle. If you're in this family, it's a vase, and that's okay. Anything goes this year. Grab your cutting board and your knife and begin to start cutting your bananas into coin slices. It depends on whatever you prefer in terms of your thickness, but nothing too thin, I would say. So we'll hang on to this extra banana just to see how many we need for later. Open up your box of Nilla wafers. Make sure they're Nilla wafers. And you need 3 layers. Start with the Nilla wafer, then you put in the pudding mixture, and then you put in the bananas. So make sure that that's the layering technique that you use. So we'll start with the layer of Nilla wafers. It's okay if they overlap, it's okay if there's space in between. This is just to make sure that you have some consistency for the base. And I like to do them where they have a little bit of a scallop look to it. Like I said, it's okay if there's space, but I like to make sure I use everything. And then start putting them being the mixture, in here. You can make it as thick as you want, as thin as you want, and make sure you can distinctively see the layers. And it's okay if it's a little messy. Let the kids clean that up or have fun with it or lick the edges or whatever. So you'll see it looks a little runny now. That's normal because our last part of this entire process is putting it in the fridge for 8 hours, which can be hard because just looking at it, it looks so decadent. But hold your horses. Make sure that you wait the full 8 hours. So now that we have that layer, let's add our bananas. Same technique as the Nilla wafers. I like to start from the outside in. Good. So that's our first layer. Repeat the process. Very simple. See how easy the second layer is now that we've formed the first? Again, you know what to do. Grab. Look at how gorgeous that is. These big scoops of that pudding. Perfect. Ah, divine. Okay, let's put the rest of the pudding mixture in here. You can just scoop it on out, dump it. Now, this is where the fun part is. If you have anyone that's upset in the house, get them to do this part. Anyone who's like got a little angst or just wants to get something out, you just crumble all the Nilla wafers right over it. And this is your garnish. Look at how hard that was. But look at how pretty it is on top. There you go. Oh man, kids will love this part. Oh, they'll love it. There you go. Okay, so that's it. That is the banana pudding, okay? So this is the hard part. Don't eat it. If you can help it, let it sit overnight in the fridge. 8 hours minimum. So that's why I suggest if you make this, make it in the morning and then bring it out for dessert. By then, enough time will have passed. It'll be just amazing. So let's grab some cling wrap. It already tastes good, and put it over. Oh man. There we go. Oh man, your family will love you for making this. Okay. Woo! Right. Don't touch it for 8 hours. Don't do it. So to prepare our sides, we need to prepare the oven. So I'm putting it on roast at 425. Should be good. Now what we're roasting is our squash and our Brussels sprouts. So grab that out. I like to have pre-cut butternut squash just because it's one of the harder things for me to cut. And then I like to get the fresh Brussels sprouts because that's a lot easier for me to cut. And for the Brussels sprouts, just cut them in half. That's all you need, with the tummies up. All right, so now that we have our Brussels sprouts already cut in half, just open your package of butternut squash and dump it right out. Again, so easy. Tastes the exact same as if you cut it yourself. Olive oil. We need olive oil, salt, and pepper. So we'll grab those items right now. Salt and pepper right here. Olive oil right here. And you'll just drizzle the olive oil on here. Enough to give it a coating. It's good enough. Little salt. As much as you'd like to taste. And then my fun trick with the pepper, someone showed this to me a while ago. Yeah. Makes it come out a lot faster, right? And now we're gonna give it a good, healthy toss. It's okay if the two sides get jumbled. Don't worry about that. But by the time they're laid back out, make sure that with the Brussels sprouts, again, that the tummies are facing up. That way you have more surface area being accessed by the heat. And they'll cook a lot better. And they won't burn or brown on the face side up. When you have little shells, just discard them. Get them out of the way, you don't need them. Okay, good. This is enough to have for about 3 or 4 servings. So when you're set, we'll take it right on over to the oven and let them do their thing. About 15, 20 minutes once again on your roasting setting at 425 for the heat. So now we're focusing on making the main course, which is our chicken piccata. So here's exactly what you're gonna need for the chicken piccata. Flour for dredging the chicken, olive oil, chicken stock, salt and pepper, capers, butter, and then of course the lovely chicken breasts themselves. So we'll first start by butterflying your chicken breast. Butterflying is really easy, just means chopping it in half, so we'll do that part. As you do this, roll up your sleeves. The best way to do it is press your palm down on the chicken and then go halfway across and make sure you go all the way through. This is going to make the cooking time so much faster, which is why I really love this meal. And you'll do it again to this chicken breast. Same exact thing. Butterfly straight on through. Be mindful of your palm and come through. Now we take the flour, and the flour is what we use for dredging the chicken. Place that to the side. Now as you prepare that, make sure that you do have a pan available on your stove. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll begin to salt and pepper, so just season each side of the chicken, just lightly. This one's a little cutlet right over here, so we'll include it. And then dredge it in your flour. Dredging just means it goes on all sides of the flour until it's nicely coated. Not too thin, not too thick, just enough. And you'll do this for each piece of the chicken. And this is what we'll take directly into our pan. Make sure all sides of it are covered. Excellent. Okay. So now that we have 2 of them already done, leave the other one here because we'll do section by section. It takes roughly 3 to 5 minutes for each piece to cook. And if you do 2 at a time, while one side is cooking, you can prepare the other side. 2 tablespoons of butter is what we need for entering the pan. So take your butter and then take your oil and come over with me over to the stove. We want it to be starting on a medium-high heat. And we'll place in the butter first. And then our 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Now, olive oil heats at a higher heat, which is why we're able to cook at a medium-high heat without ruining the butter. And the butter will add that body that we're looking for, that nice creaminess to the sauce. So grab whatever spoon you want and make sure that that begins to heat and really warm up. Now that it's starting to sizzle, This is at the point at which you want to make sure that the little bits of butter are combined. And now we can incorporate the chicken. So, take your chicken and lay it down. Like I said, this will fit about 2 to 3 pieces at a time. Shake off the excess flour and let it go to work. So each side you want to just rest for 3 minutes. Now that the chicken's going and it's got another 2 minutes to it, this is a great time to check on the veggies because we're at the halfway point. So take a spatula, come down, check on those veggies, and they're looking awesome. What I like to do is just give it a nice push. We're going to flip over our chicken. And you can see it's becoming a really gorgeous brown color. So the chicken looks awesome on both sides. Beautifully brown. Yep, perfect. Place it over to the side. And don't worry if you think they're undercooked because we're gonna cook them for a few more minutes right after this. So leave everything in your pan, the oil, the butter, all that stuff. We're only gonna be adding to it. So at this point, we're adding chicken stock, about half a cup, into the mixture. And you can reduce it to a lower heat. It's okay if it starts to sizzle. You want it that way. We're also going to add our lemon juice and our capers. Let's cut our lemon. Putting the capers in now. And then 1/3 of lemon juice, which for the lemon that I have here is about the full lemon. And you can use a fork to get the seeds out if any of them fall through, or leave them there. Now once that's all added, take your spoon and stir it all together. You want to bring it back onto a higher heat until it's at about a boil. And as you do this, scrape off any of the brown bits that are coming from the bottom of the pan. Those brown bits add a lot of flavor, so we don't want to be in fear of those. We want to incorporate them into this mixture and allow it to arrive at that boil. And once it's arrived at the boil, that's when you put the chicken back in to cook for another 5 minutes. Let it rest, and this is going to absorb the flavors, bring more heat to the chicken, and make sure everything is fully cooked. Okay, so our veggies are just about done, so we can take them out. Ooh, and they look good. Beautiful. They got a little bit of brown and color developed onto them, which is nice. Chicken's perfect. It looks good, it smells good. So now we just plate it back on that very same plate we've been going back and forth with. Take that chicken, put it to the side. And all we're doing now is adding a little bit more butter to this sauce so it's a little bit more creamier and thicker. So once you've plated it again, you can keep the heat on. Add a little salt and pepper if you would like. I like to. Brings the flavors out a little bit more. And then it's just 2 tablespoons of butter. Put that right in there, or squish it out, whatever happens. Perfect. And then you're just gonna whisk it together. You're getting all those brown bits. If you wanna add more butter, that's up to you. Now see how beautiful the color is of that sauce? Everything's all blended in. Now, you just take it and pour it right over the chicken. This is awesome. Such a colorful, healthy meal. And the best part is that I get to eat it now. I'm not worried about how it's gonna taste because I already know it's gonna taste incredible. But cut off a little piece. It's perfectly cooked through. It's so comforting too. Easy, light. It's gonna make a lot of people happy. Okay. So before I get carried away, let me make my husband a plate and then we'll get to dessert. Okay, time for dessert. My favorite part. And it looks incredible. There she is. So I promise you that the wait will be worth it. And by the time you've got it right in front of you. Let everyone appreciate it first before you dig in, like I'm about to. Grab the fanciest glass that you have in the house because you deserve that experience. And just toss it right in there. Oh, that's perfect. Oh my gosh. It tastes so good already. Grab a little banana, a little Nilla wafer, plenty of pudding. Get it all in there. It's so good. Oh my gosh. It is creamy. The bananas are perfect. This will really be a hit. But either way, from my kitchen to yours, I hope you had a really good time cooking together. I plan on bringing a lot more recipes to you in the near future while my husband David has some DIY projects and handyman things he's gonna show you as well. So until we see each other again, stay healthy, stay safe. I'll talk to you later.